Hey, what's going on everyone? Greg here, and today we are taking a look at the brand new Google Pixel 4 XL. Now, this is an interesting phone because even before Google's event, we knew about the existence of the Google Pixel 4 because there were a lot of leaks, and Google did something out of the ordinary here. Rather than ignore the leaks and deny them, they just actually came out and embraced it and said, yes, this is the Google Pixel 4 design, and then they actually showed off some of the technologies that they would be including in the Google Pixel 4, including a brand new Project Soli radar system with hand gestures, and a different design than the Google Pixel 3 XL. And yes, if you're watching this video early, this phone is not available for sale yet. It will actually go on sale October 24th, but Google decided to send it over to me early to test out and review. But enough about that. I'm sure you guys are pretty anxious to see the phone and to stop staring at my ugly face, so let's go ahead and unbox this thing. Okay, and here we have the box for the Google Pixel 4. Now I gotta say, before we even open the box up and take a look at the phone, I am really liking this more colorful product packaging with the P and the 4. Yes, that has nothing to do with the phone, and I'm sure a lot of people are making fun of me in the comments for even mentioning it, but I think it's a pretty cool box. As you can see right away, we are greeted with the Google Pixel 4 XL. I know that's the most exciting part of this video, but let's put that to the side for now. If we open this up, we can see some of the documentation for the Google Pixel. Of course, on the bottom of the box, we get a USB-C to USB-C cable, and then a USB-A to USB-C adapter. And we also get our USB-C power brick. Seems pretty standard for a smartphone unboxing, but let's get to the more exciting part. Okay, but let's turn our attention back to the Google Pixel 4 XL and let's rip off that plastic, ever so satisfying. And here we have the Google Pixel 4 XL. You can see the front of the device, and as we turn it over, you can see that it's kind of two-tone. So we have a black here, we have the orange power button, so that's pretty unique. And then as we flip it over to the back, you can see that it is in white. So with that black and that white, it's kind of giving almost like a panda effect. Of course, you can see that square camera bump, which we've seen a lot of leaks of. I gotta say, this square camera bump looks a lot smaller in person. In fact, let me bring over my iPhone 11 Pro here so we can see both of these square camera bumps. Now you can see that Google chose to black out this camera. We were seeing a lot of early leaks for the iPhone 11 Pro where it kind of followed a similar design, but as you can see with Apple's iPhone 11 Pro, they decided to make the glass itself the same color as the phone and then kind of give it a different effect by making it glossy, and then the back of the 11 Pro in a matte finish. With the Google one, it's kind of going for that traditional black camera bump design. A new addition to the Google Pixel 4 this year is not only does it have the regular standard camera, but it also has a second camera lens, this time for a zooming option. Of course, on the bottom, you can see that we have a USB-C port and then two bottom firing speakers. Just like last year's Google Pixel 3 XL, I really like the feeling of this softer glass back that they have. And look, Google really went all out this year. They put a G at the bottom of the phone for Greg's Gadgets. That's some really nice customization. Guys, I'm just joking. I know it stands for Google. The Google Pixel 4 XL retails at a starting price of $899 for 64 gigabytes. The model I have is a 128 gigabyte model for $999. All right, let's power on the device and then I'll be back to give you my first impressions. All right, so I actually went ahead and set up the Google Pixel 4 XL, and I've been spending a little bit of time with it so I can give you some of my first initial impressions. Okay, one of the first things I noticed with the Google Pixel 4 XL was just kind of how it felt in the hand. Now, the Google Pixel 4 is bringing back that softer glass feel that I really liked with the Google Pixel 3. Another thing I noticed about the Pixel's design is the siding of this. So as you can see, it has more of a matte finish on the side compared to, say, something like some of the latest Galaxy phones or the iPhone 11 Pro. So that makes the Google Pixel 4 actually not that slippery in your hands. Another thing I will say about the design is this camera bump. I think I mentioned it before in the unboxing, but it looks a lot smaller in person than it appears in photos. So definitely check this thing out in stores if you are bothered by the camera bump. I'm currently looking at it and I gotta say, I'm not really too bothered by it. Another thing you'll notice about the design on the Pixel 4 XL is that there is no longer a notch on the front. Google is opting to just go for this thicker forehead bezel. Last year when I reviewed the Pixel 3 XL, I was particularly harsh on that notch, and a lot of people were. It just went in a little bit too deep, it was a little bit distracting, and it just didn't look good for the overall design of the phone because it had that big notch and it also had a thick bottom chin. That is definitely one of the complaints I had last year with the design of the Google Pixel 3 XL, and I think this looks a lot better. Another thing to note about the Pixel 4 XL's display is that Google opted to to go for a 90 hertz refresh rate this year, and it is a variable refresh rate, so Google is saying that while you're not interacting with the Pixel 4, it's actually going to lower the refresh rate to conserve battery, but then as soon as you start to scroll or interact with the device, it will go back up to 90 hertz. As for the 90 hertz refresh rate itself, I still need to spend more time with the Pixel 4 XL before I can really judge how much of a difference it makes, but so far there is a slight difference. And you'll really notice this the most as you're scrolling through something like a web page. Of course, the display itself is an OLED display. Google said it got an A+ rating from DisplayMate. I don't know if I'd put that much stock into those ratings. It seems like almost every phone that is released these days is getting an A+ rating from DisplayMate. But in general, just my short time with using the Pixel 4 XL, I would say the display is good. I haven't noticed any issues yet. Browsing through web pages or watching some few sample videos, everything on the display front looks good. And while watching the video, I got to listen to the speakers for a little bit. This has a top firing speaker through the earpiece and then also a bottom firing speaker. So far the speakers do sound good, but again, I do need to spend some more time with it. One thing I will say is that last year with my Pixel 3 XL unit, I had some problems with the speakers, especially with rattling. I'll say that with the Pixel 4 XL, I'm not noticing those issues. Another new feature to the Pixel lineup this year is the brand new facial unlocking system. In fact, there is no fingerprint scanner on the Pixel 4, which is a rarity for Android devices. And that's a bold decision not to include any sort of fingerprint scanner. It means the face unlocking system has to be good. And based on my first impressions, this is probably one of the most impressive things so far about the Pixel 4. Face unlocking is super accurate and super quick. So as soon as I hold up my Pixel 4, it instantly unlocks and it actually bypasses the lock screen entirely. Now, even with just my short time using the Pixel 4, I gotta say, this is probably the best version of face unlocking that I have used on an Android device yet. I mean, look at this. As soon as I pick it up, it instantly sees my face and unlocks right to the screen. It is very impressive. I will note one negative about this face unlocking system though, and that is that it works even if your eyes are closed. One of the more ambitious projects with the Pixel lineup this year is Project Soli, where Google is including this face unlocking system and this radar system, and that is actually going to enable you to use hand gestures on the Google Pixel 4. There's a couple different ways you can use this, and I'll explore this more in my full review, but one example of that is that you can use a hand motion to skip songs back and forth. But I still need to spend a lot more time with these hand gestures to see how useful they are and before I can give my full opinion on them. Okay, and probably one of the biggest features with any Google Pixel phone is the camera. Now, Google is doing something a little bit different this year with the Pixel 4 and Pixel 4 XL, and that is that they are including two camera lenses on both of these phones, a normal wide-angle lens and then a 2x telephoto lens. What's interesting about the telephoto lens is it's not a 12 megapixel sensor like the normal wide-angle lens. It actually goes up to a 16 megapixel sensor. Google actually showed off in the keynote its super zoom feature with the new telephoto lens, and they kind of showed how you can get an 8x zoom that looks clearer than other smartphone competitors. I think that has a lot to do with the extra megapixels on that telephoto camera. Again, I'm gonna have to spend more time with the Google Pixel 4 XL to really see if that zoom feature is anything special, to really see how well that zoom does in real-world performance. So I took two telephoto pictures with the Google Pixel 4 XL. Now these are all the way up at that 8x zoom. So it's not only using the 2x telephoto lens, but it's also cropping into it. Again, Google is saying that the software on the Pixel 4 should be able to accommodate for this and give you a better photo rather than if you were to crop after taking the picture. And I think the results so far do look pretty good. Of course, I'm gonna have to play around more with the telephoto camera before I can give my final opinion. But let's take a picture with a little bit more light. So let's take a picture of my little pal Yoshi over here. And if we take a look at that sample picture of Yoshi, we can see that the Google Pixel 4 looks like it has a pretty good camera on it. And yeah, taking a look at this sample photo, we can see that the colors on Yoshi are good. If we pinch to zoom in a little bit, we can see that a lot of the detail is preserved on the yarn, and we can even see little stray bits of fuzz. Again, these were just two fun sample photos to look at for now. We have to take a lot more photos with the Google Pixel 4 XL before we can fully judge the camera. But yeah, so far those are my initial impressions of the Google Pixel 4 XL. Now, of course, I still need to test this device out a lot before I can give you my final opinion and full review. And if you're interested in that full review, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like, and also be sure to let me know in the comments below what do you think of the Google Pixel 4, and if you have any questions that you want me to answer in the full review, be sure to leave them there as well. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.